once again another Square and Compass Promotions live stream. Let me see if I can't just get this one a little bit better situated. I have my camera plugged in. The cord is being a pain in the butt with this, but hold on just one sec. All right, I think we got that pretty good. It took a second there. Welcome, another Square and Compass Promotions episode. Today's episode, as I said, I figured we'd talk a little bit about Platonic solids. Why? Because Freemasons, we should care about geometry. In fact, geometry and Freemasonry are synonymous in many cases, but that is for a later time. As always, the first hour is going to be just focusing on seeing who can join us and what it is that they want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. But as I said, that is for kind of hour number 2. For hour number 1, it's just waiting to see who joins us, who's hanging out, and what it is that they want to chat about. So let's give it a bit of time, see who joins. Actually, I realize now as I'm talking, the window's open. I'm gonna go close it lest we get any more sirens like yesterday. So I'll be back in one moment. In the meantime though, if you are just jumping in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back in a sec. All right, I made it back. Welcome once again. Square and Compass Promotions live stream. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. HDJ. I'm just going to say H, but welcome. Thank you so much for saying hello. I hope you're doing well. I hope you will hit the like button and subscribe button. And let me know how it's going. As I was saying, every day, Monday through Friday, we do these streams to talk about Freemasonry. I am in my 40s. So I'm feeling very old. I'm just putting in a poll question quickly. Well, I appreciate that, H, although it feels old sometimes, certainly depending on when I'm thinking about time passage. When I think about the fact that I've been a Freemason now for just about 20 years, then 40 feels very old. Well, I mean, I don't want to burn anything. Having said that, if there's ever anything that should be burned, I suppose. Well, I don't understand. Are you saying you want to burn the Nazi flag? Because I'm not a fan of that flag at all. If you're saying you want to burn the Canadian flag, then I got to disagree with you on that one. I'm a big fan of Canada, including, but not limited to, our flag. So, no, Mike, I shall not. In fact, one of the things we as Freemasons should care about, or me as a Freemason should care about, is being honorable towards the country in which I find myself calling home. I try to be happy. I try to be happy every day. Whether I succeed or not is a whole different can of tuna, but I like to think happiness is a choice. Jack Nickerson is back once again. Jack, I hope you're doing well. As always, to everybody watching this, please take a moment, hit the like button and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and anything you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Freemasonry. That's why I do these streams. I will be, like I said, in the second hour, as the audience arrives, I will be talking specifically about Platonic solids, which is a geometric ideal or geometric principle or geometric concept, I suppose, and we as Freemasons should care about geometry. Raised eyebrows back. Good afternoon, raised eyebrow. I hope you are once again doing well, as always. H, by the way, I hope you will hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for saying I look very nice. If you really think I look nice, you will hit the subscribe button. And to everybody watching this, thank you for being here. Let me know how it's going and anything you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. Platonic, yeah, Jack, I don't know. I think he's saying the Canadian flag is, which I do not agree with that. Platonic solids or Platonic shapes are a certain type of shape, which we'll talk about in the next hour. It's a certain geometric shape. It's a fancy pants kind of a shape. I'm sorry that you're sad. I hope that you, H, are able to maybe not feel as sad, or I hope whatever's going on, you are able to, feel better. Sometimes that just happens though. Sometimes people just feel sad, so that's okay. You don't always have to be happy all the time. Even in Freemasonry, it's not about being happy all the time. It's about having the tools to deal with life when you are feeling unhappy. Core, welcome back. Good to see you again. I saw on YouTube you posted that you're not going to be posting anything for a little bit. I don't know if you saw my comment, but take your time. We'll be around when you're back and posting stuff on Black Raven Meditation. But thank you, everybody, for being here. And Core, it's great to see you once again. Or see you through the chat, shall we say. And to everybody who is just joining us, if you're new to the stream, I hope you'll take a moment, jump in the chat, say hello. Let me know how you're doing and what it is that you maybe want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral. If you are somebody who is a Freemason, maybe you have your own thoughts on Freemasonry, either things that excite you about Freemasonry that you're seeing in your own lodge, or, I'm just going to turn this a little bit, see if I can get this a little bit more set up, or things that as a Freemason concern you and you're hoping to see changed. Because sometimes we as Freemasons, right, we're in the best position to see not only what's good about Freemasonry, but some of the areas in which Freemasonry is struggling and how we can potentially, work to change those areas. Or if not even change them, just if we recognize areas where Freemasonry is struggling, that's the first step, and hopefully we are then able to find ways to address them in a positive manner. But welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Please take a moment, if you're just joining us, to jump in the chat, say hello, answer our poll question, hit the like button, and hit the subscribe button. I did. Not a new lodge. The same lodge as before. But I did. It was very good. It was a lot of fun. It was an installation, so those are always really special times. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Installations are one of those. In the States, what's interesting is in the States, a lot of times the installations are actually open, so they're open to family and friends and the public, whereas in Canada, our installations are usually closed. which means they're exclusive to the membership or Masonic visitors. So that is really interesting, kind of, to see to see the differences between the U.S. and Canadian Freemasonry. But yeah, it was very good. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it very much. I hope everybody, by the way, is still doing well. Please take a moment, if you are just joining us, to jump in the chat, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I am planning, I think, on Monday, which is in Canada Victoria Day, I'm planning a longer stream, like a full day stream. Once I know for sure what it's going to look like, I will let everybody else know. I may even do it on my computer with the microphone, do the whole full setup. So we shall see, just to try something for fun. Maybe a stream that starts at 12 Eastern Standard Time, but goes right through to midnight, or let's say like a 12-hour stream. What am I doing now? I mean, now I'm just here streaming, right? I mean, this is what I do. I try to get people, I try to produce content that explores the ways in which Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as stories of Masonic interest, or things that I think can benefit a Masonic Lodge in, things that can assist Masonic lodges. I try to produce that content as well. Like, for example, I just wrote this, and I'll leave a link actually in the chat. Another article on Medium, which if you don't follow me on Medium, I hope you will consider doing so. Let me just see if I can't track it down. 10 prompts to start your Masonic journal. And these prompts, actually, you could reapply them to just regular people if to regular journal if you so desired, but 10 prompts to start your Masonic journal. But this first hour, let's just give it a chance to see who shows up, who finds us, and what it is that they want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Find the audience, or let the audience find me. And then the second hour is going to be, as I said in the past, a focus on, or as I said today, a focus on Platonic solids. Just because we as Freemasons should definitely care about, in my oh so humble opinion, should care about geometry, which is, amongst other things, the basis of our art. I don't know, because I don't know enough about D&D to say. Like, I kind of wish I did. I used to love the TV show Community. That was one of my favorite TV shows. And so, I remember they had 2 D&D episodes. I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I've seen other people try to create, or actually to create, Masonic style board games. There's one actually in California, which was really interesting. So, I do think there's room for it. Let me know what you think. You can put it in the chat. What would a Masonic D&D campaign look like, in your opinion? What are some of the things it would have that would be unique to D&D? Freeth, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe button. And let me know what it is that you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. Answer our poll question. And let me know again how you're doing. We are one day away from the weekend. We are one day away in Canada from a long weekend. So I hope that if you are getting to celebrate that, you are going to enjoy it and have a good one. No, there's really not an online. I mean, there are lodges where they have online meetings and things of that nature, but the problem is you first have to join a lodge in person and then you can move to an online space. It's very hard to. I don't know of any lodges where the initiation itself is done online, right? Which is one of the challenges. So I wish I could be of more help there. There's internet lodge, etc., but again, unfortunately, you can join in an online fashion, but to actually be initiated, I'm not aware of any lodges that initiate virtually. You still have to initiate in person, which again makes it tough. But if I learn of any where it's possible to do an initiation online, especially if it's a situation where somebody is in a situation where they can't get to a lodge, that might be worth exploring some more. So if I can find anything, like I said, I'll maybe even post it on social media just so people can see it. There you go. I mean, I know my dad, I think it seems like the hearing aids have gone well for him, so and he likes them. He can put more in the chat how he found them, but yeah, I think that it's like everything, right? If you have a problem, you have to find ways to fix them, to solve them. And one of the ways that you can do that is through hearing aids, or I use a wheelchair, whatever it might be, right? It's one of those things where you kind of have to figure out how to use how to use the tools at your disposal. I'm also kind of curious, by the way, one thing I'm thinking of covering. Tomorrow's stream is going to be in just Ask Us Anything, Ask Me Anything stream. But after that, one thing I'm thinking of doing is having a stream on. I talked about this before, but Freemasonry in Asia. I talked about Freemasonry in Hong Kong and Macau before, which is really interesting. But I think it might be kind of fun to do a stream talking about Freemasonry in other parts of Asia. I have to do some more research on it, though, learn more about it. Uh, but I think that may be worth doing next week. It seems like Freemasonry in Hong Kong, by the way, I've been doing some more research on it, is absolutely is doing an incredible job. All right, I feel like this camera is kind of funky. I'm going to see if I can get this a little bit more fixed. Let me just see if maybe what I can do is, there we go like that. There we go. I think that's a lot better. All right. But we are, as I said, one subscription away from 2,100 subscribers. So if you get the chance, I hope you will hit the subscribe button. Well, Afrith, your life is definitely not meaningless. No life is meaningless. Whether you are a Freemason or you're not a Freemason, it doesn't matter. Your life still has a great deal of meaning. Um, and you should be, so yeah, so never say that. Um, and, if you are unfortunately in a situation where you're living in a place, let's say, where you're just not able to access Freemasonry because, you're in a country where it's just not common or not allowed or whatever it might be, that's okay. You're still here with us and you're still learning about it, and that's what matters, right? So, you can start here and kind of just see where you can go. And I do appreciate very much you being here. All right, we're going to give it a little bit more time, see again who joins us, and then 1 hour in, we'll start talking about specific topics. In this case, um, Platonic solids. Thank you, everybody, so much who has joined us. I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and what it is that you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I would love to hear them. If you are a Freemason, maybe you've got your Masonic experiences you want to talk about, whether you found those to be positive or negative or neutral. If you do not have any Masonic experiences, or you're new and just learning about Freemasonry, even better, let me know. What questions, thoughts, ideas you have. I'm sorry to hear about the wildfires in Manitoba. I feel like those are happening more and more frequently around the globe. Interesting enough, in Los Angeles or in California during the wildfires, a couple Masonic lodges acted as shelters for people who were displaced or who had to evacuate, which is really interesting. And I thought it was wonderful to see. Interesting. 6 votes on what is your favorite Platonic solid. Cube has 3 votes, and then tetrahedron has 1, octahedron has 1, and dodecahedron has 1. So Cube is in the lead. Cube is also a great movie, by the way. I mean, you can do the best you can. I think a free, don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes there are things outside of our control. But hopefully we can be temperate when things outside of our control start to affect us, and we can find ways to try and weather these storms. But just because some things are out of your control doesn't mean everything's out of your control. So, you just try to find the balance, I guess, for whatever that might be worth. But welcome, everybody. I hope everybody watching this is doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to give it another, like I said, half hour or so, and then we will start on the main topic, which is Platonic solids, because we as Freemasons should care about geometry. Okay, perfect. Yeah, a lot of small towns. This was especially more true in the past, but it's true nowadays as well. A lot of these smaller towns did often act as um, I'm not sure what the right term is, did often act as like community centers for various things, and that could include being like a reception center for some type of emergency, or it's the place you'd go if there was like a fire, or the place you'd go if the town had an earthquake, or it was a blood clinic, or it was a scrap metal factory or scrap metal collection location during World War II, or I mean, it did a million different things like that, right? That was always kind of one of the roles of a Masonic building in a small town, which is wonderful to see, by the way, and I completely supported it. I wish more often lodges acted in that manner, or Masonic buildings acted in that manner. Though yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I'm not a big fan of using the term sacred geometry either. I understand because I think it has kind of certain levels of woo, for lack of a better term, um, that I'm not a big fan of, right? Because at the end of the day, it kind of adds a spiritual element to math and science, which I'm not a huge fan of, because I think sometimes people can take it way too far when they're thinking about these things. Having said that, I mean, for decades, for centuries, for millennia, there has been this term of sacred geometry. So, yeah, it can be. I mean, I'm not as opposed to it as others, because I understand what they're trying to say, but I can also understand why it is that, some people would be uncomfortable with it, because there is a loaded element to it that I'm not a huge fan of. So tomorrow, by the way, our stream is going to be the Ask Us Anything stream. Fridays, I basically just jump on and see who jumps on with any questions. So tomorrow, especially, is a good time to think of potential questions that you want to ask um, about Freemasonry. Maybe do some research, or topics you want to address or bring up. Z, welcome back. What time do I usually start? H, welcome back as well. I usually start 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is when I plan to start tomorrow. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time-ish. So sometimes, in fairness, it can be more closer to 1:15, 1:30 or so, but it just depends. Um, but 1:15, let's say 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I usually start. H, welcome back once again. Thank you, as always, for being here. Thank you to everybody who's joined us so far. By the way, to H, to Z, to everybody else, I know I mentioned this before, but if you want to support the channel, aside from hitting the like button and subscribe button and sharing the stream, which is some of the best ways you can do so, another way to support the stream is by becoming a member on Patreon. I just left the link there in the description, patreon.com/square and compass. You can become a member therein, and you can become a member for free, or there's paid membership levels, but just become a member for free. More people I have on there, the more helpful it is for the stream altogether. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Let me know how it's going. Let me know if you guys are looking forward to your weekend. If you have a long weekend, like I do here in Windsor, here in Canada. Z, I don't think you have a long weekend this weekend, right? Your next one is Memorial Day? Is your lodge actually, if you know, is your lodge doing anything for Memorial Day that you know of? Like taking part in having a, uh, whatchamacalls it, a barbecue or, anything to that extent, or taking part in the parade, being in the parade? I always love seeing Masons showing up in the different parades. They'll just have a dinner probably. Okay, that's awesome. Still, dinners are great. Stuff like that's wonderful. Stickman, I have no idea. I I hope that they do. I'll keep my fingers crossed for them because I would love to. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of seeing Freemasons taking part in these parades and really in any type of event that gets our name, our symbol, gets ourselves out there to the public. And parades are usually a really great way to do that, a really cost-effective way to do that. Um, I mean, I can say play. I can use Stickman. Can you hit the like and subscribe button for me? I would truly appreciate it. Because the more people we have hitting that like and subscribe button, the better it is for the channel. And Stickman, welcome. I hope you've been here. I'm not sure if you've been here on the stream before. I don't recall, but if you haven't, and this is your first time here, ask me any questions you want about Freemasonry. Right now, we're at the Ask Us Anything, section before we start talking about specific topics. In this case, talking about the Platonic solids, which is a very important concept, idea in geometry. 7 votes, by the way, on terms of favorite Platonic solid. Cube is still in the lead. Cube has 4 votes. Tetrahedron, octahedron, dodecahedron has 8 votes now. Cube is still in the lead. Well, you can have both. I mean, I remember I was in Gonzales, Texas, which I loved, and they had a parade there, and they had 2 different. They had a lodge float and a Shriner's float, and I've been to many parades where both the shrine and the shrine and the what's the word I'm looking for? The shrine and the lodge each had a float. I've never seen any rites have floats. I've never seen like a Scottish rite float or a York rite float, but that might be worth. The widow's sons. Yeah, I got what you meant there, Z. I actually, now in fairness, I did once in my travels. I wish it was more often, but I did once in my travels see an actual widow's sons be represented in a parade. So I thought that was really cool. But welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I truly appreciate it. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody will hit the like button and the subscribe button. And maybe, if possible, support me through Patreon, support me on Instagram. Here, chatting about Freemasonry every Monday through Friday. I do these streams 1 p.m. Eastern where I chat about Freemasonry. Para forever. I hope I got that pronounced correctly. Sean Diddy Combs is, I assume that is whom you are speaking of. He was not a Freemason, at least not ever to my knowledge, anyways. I could be incorrect, right? It's always possible, but not to my knowledge. Prepare forever. Welcome. I hope you hit the like button and subscribe button. Here's one thing I will say though. Keep in mind, Freemasons are human beings. If you're looking for historical examples or modern examples of Freemasons doing not so good things, you're going to find it because Freemasons are human beings and have all the foibles, weaknesses, and problems that every other human being does. However, if you're also looking for Freemasons doing wonderful things, you're going to find that as well. And I would say you're going to find a lot more examples of the latter than of the former. Would you say there's such a thing as being too zealous a member? That is a really good question, raised eyebrow. That's a really good question. I'm trying to think of how to answer this in the right way because okay, so I'm going to speak for myself, which I always do, and say no, there's not such a thing as being too zealous a Freemason. I think if you're going to be part of something, you have a responsibility to try and to give as much of yourself as you possibly can to that thing, especially if that thing is something that will make the world a better place or will make the lives of others better. It's not about yourself, it's not about you, it's about making the lives of others better and fighting for a better world. And I don't think you can be too zealous in that. Having said that, I'll also give you the official Masonic line, which is work and family come first. And they would potentially argue that, you can be too zealous a Mason if you're dedicating so much of your time to Freemasonry that you're allowing your family life to suffer or you're allowing, your economic life to suffer or whatever it might be. I would say, though, as much as possible, you need to understand as a Mason, if you join and if you're not giving yourself as much as you can to the lodge, all you're doing is making it harder for everybody else who now has to work so much harder to kind of pick up the slack. Because if you're, whatever, you're a deacon and you don't show up to lodge, somebody has to fill your space. Somebody now has to cover your work because you decided not to show up. So I guess that the official answer would be yes. My answer would be no, especially because if you are not being zealous in your approach to membership, then all that happens is somebody else needs to pick up the slack. And I don't think that that's a fair thing necessarily to require. Afrith, I do not read Hebrew. I'd like to because I've had a few Hebrew or Jewish brothers on. I've talked about the Grand Lodge of, Israel. I'm actually a member of the Grand Lodge of Israel. So I wish I could say that I spoke Hebrew. Sadly, I do not. I don't speak, I speak two languages, English and bad English. I wish I spoke more. But I have, like I said, had some Hebrew brothers on the stream, as well as talked about, Freemasonry in Israel. Stickman, I do hope, once again, you will hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, answer our poll question. Let me know how it's going and what it is that you want to chat about. It means feather. Okay, really cool. I mean, I like the look of the Hebrew letters, like the symbols. I think they're really beautiful. I think it looks that or like even Chinese characters. I think they are really beautiful. So I like to look at them. I wish I could learn. I remember I once had ChatGPT write out, or not ChatGPT, but Google Translate write out Freemasonry in different languages like Chinese and Hebrew and stuff, and that was really cool. That means shalom. Awesome. That means hello, right? Shalom, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess what I'd say is shalom to you as well. If I got that right. If I didn't, let me know. Feather. Are you trying to say father like Father or feather Feather, like what a bird has? But thank you so much again for being here. Truly appreciate it. We got to. Good for you to Torah twice. That's very impressive. I've never actually read through any holy book, which I suppose I really should, especially as a Freemason. I've read probably the book I'm most familiar with or acquainted with would be the Bible. And then I've read some parts here and there of Torah, maybe a little bit of parts here and there of the Quran, but I'd like to read them all once again. I'd like to read them all just again so I have experience when it comes to this stuff as it relates to Freemasonry, because Freemasonry welcomes men of all faiths, whether they be, you know, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, indigenous, Christian in the various sects, Catholic, etc., etc. So, I wish I could learn more about this stuff. I'm actually trying to get somebody on the. I agree, it would be really cool to be able to learn how to know Greek. I really wish, by the way, that I could. What was I going to say now? Learn more about even Indigenous and First Nations teachings, which I know a little bit about, to be honest, being in Canada, being close to some First Nations groups, but just a little, not as much as I'd like to know, that's for sure. I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment. If you are just joining, hit the like and subscribe button. Stickman, everybody watching this, one more time, I'm going to leave my my Patreon link. Patreon.com/CoinCompass. Well, Google Translate isn't the best. To be honest, Google Translate often can be kind of funky. I can read Hebrew, Cyrillic, and Greek, but have no idea what I'm saying. Well, so do you mean you read it phonetically? Or do you mean you can read and understand it, but you can't speak it well? Yes, Stickman, you can pay me in rupees, but you can also join the Patreon for free and not have to pay me anything. But if you wanted to, they have a whatchamacallit, they can, I can't think of the word now. They can do the conversion. Or I'm just happy to have free members as well. Okay, I can read it and pronounce it. But hey, at least you can read it and pronounce it. That's better than me. I'm the same thing as with my pops. I speak English and bad English. That's the only two languages I speak. Cube is still insanely in the lead in our poll question, by the way. Cube at 64%, tetrahedron at 18%. Oh, tetrahedron got a second vote. Look at that. But I can speak Spanish and German. It's very impressive. Still, being able to speak these different languages is super impressive. I've actually written a few times about this. Let me see if I can actually track it down and leave another link on here. I have a Medium page. It's like YouTube for writing, and English and deep Alabamian. Hey man, I like the way I like Southern accents. I think they sound cool. They sound kind of laid back and chill, which is a good thing. The world could use a little bit more laid back and chill, I think, sometimes. I'm trying to track down what I wrote about Freemasonry in diverse languages, why I think it's valuable to communicate in a diversity of languages in Freemasonry. Let me see if I can track it down. Well, I mean, in fairness, it's so hot. Can anybody be in a hurry? Like, I've never been to Alabama, but I've been to Texas a couple times. And I remember walking out of the airport, or wheeling out of the airport, and just thinking, I'm never moving quickly again anywhere. I just want to just melt into a puddle. I don't do well in heat. I grew up in Canada. I still live in Canada. I like cold. I like snow. That is what I will take. So I don't know if Alabama's like Texas, the super heat, but you know. But we can, check out this stream or this link, medium.com. This is Freemasons communicating in multiple languages. I think it's wonderful if we were to see, for example, Masons publishing their summons or the trestle board in multiple languages, depending on where you're from. Like, I don't know, I could be wrong, Z, and let me know if I am. But I believe Alabama has a larger French population, like Creole, similar to Louisiana. I could be off. But maybe having a lodge publish a summons in both English and French for maybe some of its French members, or not publishing a summons, but publishing pamphlets about Freemasonry and what it is in English and French, or English and Spanish, or whatever it might be. Depends on where you are. Down south, yes. Up north, Ryman, Huntsville, we have more of it. So maybe doing stuff in German. Who knows, right? And if you think about it, if you have a lodge where you have brethren who are of German descent, German origin, German family, they come to lodge and they see stuff published in German, maybe they'll appreciate it more. Maybe they'll be more thankful. We got, they call Huntsville Rocket City. That's really cool. I did not know that. I wonder if Warner von Braun was a Freemason. Very possible. Maybe it might be kind of fun to look it up. That's a good way to do it. Respect all religions. I agree with that. You can believe, a particular religious belief, but in doing so, that doesn't mean you should not respect the beliefs of all your brothers, whether, Masonic or otherwise, for that matter. But it's when it comes to religious beliefs, I'm a believer in that. At the end of the day, I don't believe anybody knows, the answer to these questions, what happens after we die, whatever it might be. All we can do is use our best judgment and kind of go from there. But I'm certainly not going to claim I have the answers, nor that I know the person who has the answers, right? And I love one of the things I love about Freemasonry, genuinely, it's one of my favorite things about it, is the fact that it is open to men of all faiths and women. There's Freemasonry for women as well. I always like to show some love for our, Eastern Star, Order of Women Freemasons. But I do love the fact that Freemasonry is open for men of all religions. I think it's one of the best parts of it, the best parts about it. And the fact that it's not in and of itself a religion. Welcome. If you are just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything that you want to chat about in Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. As Z says, have faith. That is absolutely what we should do. We should have faith. If in nothing else, have faith in the people around us. As somebody who, sometimes struggles with pessimism, oftentimes struggles with pessimism when I see some of the things in the world, faith can be harder to come by. So you got to look for faith wherever you can find it. For me, one of the places where I find faith is through Freemasonry, even though that can also at times be a pain in the ass. Thank you everybody for being here. We made it to 2,100 subscribers. Let's see if we can make it to 2,101. In the meantime, though, please hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Answer my poll question. I'm going to start talking about Platonic solids in 5 minutes. Or 10 minutes, I guess. 1 hour in. And Stickman, I heard Freemasons are like the Illuminatis. They are not, but many people think they are. For different reasons. One of the reasons that comes up, this misconception, is because there are many scammers who will send messages to people, and I've got these messages myself. I've been a Freemason since 2007, and I'll get these messages where it will say something to the effect of the Masonic Order of the Illuminati, or the Illuminati Order of Freemasons welcomes you, wants you to join. All you need to do is send us a couple $100, and in exchange, you'll get riches and famous, and the Masonic Order of the Illuminati, or the Illuminati Order of the Masons, or the whatever it is, will help you. And a lot of people get those messages. I've got those messages, and then people think, oh, Freemason and Illuminati are the same, which they're not. So that's one of the reasons that misconception exists. Yari Cortez, hello, welcome. I hope you're doing well. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and what's going on. As well as the other, well, so Z, not quite what you say there, Z. It's not that the Illuminati was created to infiltrate Freemasons. The Illuminati was actually created as an anti-Masonic order. The gentleman who started the Illuminati, I forget his name now, he started it because he found Freemasonry to be too expensive, as well as not esoteric enough, or not kind of mysterious enough. And so he started it as like an anti-Masonic order almost. It was almost created not so much to infiltrate, almost more to replace, but it didn't take for a lot of different reasons. I think the main reason being the guy who started it, from what I've read about him, was a crazy person, which is not a good foundation on which to build. And so, but he did, he was a Mason, the person who found the Illuminati. So when he started the Illuminati, he kind of aped a lot of our rituals and brought them over to his group, which he started. And he called himself like true Freemason. He tried to imply that he was like the true Freemasonry in a sense. But really, he was just a guy who didn't like Freemasonry for a lot of reasons and wanted to start his own version of it. But it didn't last. There you go. Yeah, Adam Wise input. I think I've heard different versions of that. I've heard both. In some cases, the story is he was kicked out. In some cases, the story he left. I think the common denominator is he was such a pain in the ass. Everybody was happy to see him go. Whether he left, of his own accord to start the Illuminati, or whether he was kicked out and then started the Illuminati. In either case, he was not missed. Put it that way. He was not missed when he left, is kind of the common consensus. My suspicion is he would probably tell people he left voluntarily, to make himself feel good. But he may have very well been kicked out. If maybe he was kicked out because he didn't pay his dues, because he was always complaining they were too high, which I can, some things never change, right? Some things never change. I'm not yet monetized, Z. I mean, I do have, again, my Patreon, patreon.com/HereIn, where I'm able to make some money that way, and I can sell, ads and stuff. And I have some, medium coming in, medium income. But again, if you want to support, the best way to support isn't to so much worry about the money right now. It's hitting the like, hitting the subscribe, sharing the stream, and, signing up for all my different socials. Well, it depends what part of America. Where I'm in, which is actually Canada, it's Eastern time. So it's 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. So, yeah, the weird connection, and to my knowledge, I've heard different things. So you're an hour behind. Yeah, I've heard different things of the Illuminati. Some people say they still exist. I, to my knowledge, they don't exist, at least not in any organized fashion. 8 p.m. where you're from. Well, thank you for spending your evening with us, Dickman. I truly appreciate it. But the one thing I will say is when it comes to the idea of something existing, like the Illuminati, you got to be really careful in terms of what do you mean by existing. right? Because the reason I say that is, let's say I pull an Adam, what's his name again? Adam Weishaupt, whatever you pronounce it. I get cranky at Freemasonry and I leave and I start Cameron's Order of the Illuminati in my apartment. Well, now you could argue the Illuminati exists because I started it, right? There's a difference between something existing and something existing in a manner that is organized and, has some type of influence over the world. And I think in the case of Illuminati, whether it exists or not, I don't know. But certainly if it does exist, it does not seem to exist in a manner that has any type of influence on the world. Great question, Courtney. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. Do I have any good fundraising ideas for Lodge? I mean, I think the question is, do you have any good fundraising ideas for Lodge? Yeah, there's tons. You can sell pins, you can sell coins, you can have draws as long as everything is compliant with whatever local regulations and rules there are. You can do bake sales. I mean, it depends how you can do grants, apply for grants. It depends how much you're trying to raise and what you're trying to raise them for. Today, good for you. I hope you have a wonderful holy day. Then I also hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you have a wonderful time hanging out with your friends as well. If you want to be cool and free and kind to me, I hope you will tell your friends about this stream and ask them to like and subscribe. Otherwise, please hit the like button and subscribe button on your way, as always. And thank you for being here. Enjoy your holy day. Gun shows. Depends where you're from. I mean, I don't think those would be successful fundraisers in Canada, but I am sure in the States, certain parts of the States especially, gun shows would be great. I've actually been to places where they've auctioned off guns as, part of the fundraising efforts. So it just depends where you're at and kind of, and also what you're allowed to do pursuant to different regulations and bylaws. Right? Like in Canada, there's different rules about, for example, if you want to do a fundraiser for dinner, that includes the sale of alcohol, there's things you need to purchase and permits. And so that's something you always need to keep in mind when it comes to organizing these events as well. Yeah, bake sales are great. Cookies, whatever it might be, and they're low overhead because you can ask people to bake things themselves and bring them in, so you don't need to necessarily spend a lot of money up front. It's just about getting the volunteers and the time. Having said that, make sure the cookies taste good, but if they're delicious cookies, yeah, I think fundraisers make a lot of sense. Bake sales make a lot of sense because they are so low overhead, so low cost. Welcome. If you are just joining us, please take a moment, jump in the chat, say hello, hit the like button and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and what it is you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Answer our poll question. Which is your favorite Platonic solid? Cube is, so we got 13 votes, it looks like. Cube is in the lead at 69%. Tetrahedron, 15%. Octahedron, 8%. Dodecahedron, 8%. We're going to talk about what those are in a second. But thank you, everybody, for being here. Let me just check something quickly, then we are going to get started on our main topic, once again, Platonic solids. As to why they are important, as Freemasons, and this is something that our ritual explains quite forcefully, but every lodge, every ritual I've seen has this injunction. we as Masons are encouraged to be lifelong learners, especially in the area of geometry and the liberal arts and sciences. Not only because, just as a general rule, the more knowledgeable you are on various topics, the more useful you will be to society, which is something that in Ontario our ritual reminds us of. It is also a matter of, the understanding and learning more about geometry, especially geometry, allows us to take lessons of nature and apply them to our morals. Z, and anybody else watches from the States, I don't know if you ever came across or watched Lincoln, the movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis, but there's this great scene where Daniel Day-Lewis, or Lincoln, is trying to decide on what course of action to take. And it's a moral question. It's not a military question. It's a moral question of what action to take. And in making his decision, he actually refers not to a religious text or a philosophical text. Or I guess you could argue these are the same thing. He refers to a geometric principle. He, in fact, refers to the geometric principle of Euclid. And he found moral instructions in lessons of geometry. And I do think the idea of an ordered universe, which geometry represents, the idea of certain geometrical principles, they are valuable to learn not only as a way for us to increase in social utility, but also as a way to better understand moral truths. Just like knowledge says there, Courtney's absolutely right. Geometric shapes and patterns, like the triangle, circle, and square, are used to symbolize spiritual or moral truths. So in the case of Platonic solids, there exist, and I'm going to play this. I'm going to see if you guys can hear it. Let me know if you can. And every now and then maybe I'll stop and show the screen. Let me just see if I can actually pull this up. Give me 1 second. I'm just getting this ready. Give me 1 more second. And by the way, please hit the like and subscribe button if you're just joining us.
Shapes that are so special. They've captivated the human imagination.
I'm going back
for
just 1
thousands
second. Sorry.
of years.
All right.
In a world of countless objects, there are 5 unique shapes that are so special. They've captivated the human imagination for thousands of years.
Let me know if you can hear.
These shapes share similar properties and are the only 5 of their kind. These are the Platonic solids. The Platonic solids are the tetrahedron, hexahedron, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron, and are named after the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who associated them with the classical elements: fire, earth, air, the universe, and water, respectively. Plato wrote about the solids in his dialogue Timaeus around 360 BC. However, while Plato is credited with popularizing these shapes, the Greeks already knew about the solid dialogue Timaeus around 360 BC.
So just going back, just 1
Dialogue
sec.
Timaeus around 360 BC. However, while
So I just want to go back and go through one part again.
Plato wrote about...
So, as I said, these solids, these are 5 shapes that were discovered by the ancient Greeks, popularized by Plato. They are, one more time,
captivated the human imagination for thousands of years. These shapes share similar properties and are the only 5 of their kind. These are the Platonic solids. The Platonic solids are the tetrahedron, hexahedron,
octahedron, dodecahedron, or icosahedron. Otherwise, hexahedron is the cube.
Elements: fire, earth, air, the universe, and water.
So Plato put the tetrahedron as connected to fire, the cube or hexahedron as connected to the earth, the dodecahedron as connected to water, the isosahedron as connected to the universe, or sorry, wind. The octahedron is connected to wind. The dodecahedron is connected to the universe, and the tetrahedron is connected to water. Bucharest. I can pronounce things right. Icosahedron, water. The icosahedron has 20 triangular faces, the most of all the Platonic solids. Welcome, Bucharest Red. I hope that you are doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button if you haven't done so yet, and answer our poll question.
Respectively, Plato wrote about the solids in his dialogue Timaeus around 360 BC. However, while Plato is credited with popularizing these shapes, the Greeks already knew about the solids long before him. The ancient Greeks, including Pythagoras and his followers known as the Pythagoreans, studied these shapes earlier than Plato. In fact, Pythagoras is credited with discovering 3 of the solids, which were the tetrahedron, cube, and dodecahedron. If he didn't discover them, he may have become familiar with them from the time he spent in Egypt and Babylon, and then brought the knowledge to
This ancient stuff matters.
The ancient Egyptians likely already knew about at least 3 of the solids, and their ideas would have influenced Pythagoras, who lived there for about 22
Yes, they
years.
are knowledge. I agree with that. They are 100%.
Contemporary of Plato may have discovered the other 2 solids. Whether this is true or not, what we do know is that Theaetetus described all 5 of the shapes, and he was also the first to prove that this group of solids are the only 5 regular convex polyhedra that exist. The beauty and importance of the Platonic solids lies in their symmetry. Each face, angle, and side within a particular solid is identical. What's more, all the edges or vertices fits perfectly inside a sphere. This perfection in form, a microcosm of cosmic harmony, didn't escape the notice of ancient thinkers.
Creates the nearest sphere, which is why it's connected to water.
Were not mere
No, it does. I mean, yeah, the more triangles you have, the more curves you can create. That's actually a really interesting
with the 5 elements.
thing I learned about the creation of video games. I'm not a huge video game fan or anything, but what makes the way that they create shapes in a video game is through triangles. But the more triangles that you have, eventually the more curved it looks. So if you're trying to create a face, like they use triangles to create faces on characters in a video game. But back in the day, they only had the capacity to use like 10 or 15 triangles. So the faces, that's why people were very angular and blocky. Now, they're using 6,000 triangles to produce a face, which is why it's able to the faces look smoother and have curves, even though if you were to zoom in, it'd be a bunch of triangles and angles. It just smooths itself out. He did, or a universe as well as ether.
Each solid corresponded to an element, the fundamental substances that combined in various ways to form the material world. So let's break down each of the Platonic solids in detail. Number 1, tetrahedron, 4 triangular faces. As the simplest of the Platonic solids, the tetrahedron represents the concept of a minimum limit, or starting point. In chemistry, the tetrahedral shape describes the molecular geometry of certain compounds, where a central atom forms 4 bonds. In Plato's Timaeus, the tetrahedron is associated with the element of fire. Its sharp points and edges symbolize the heat and flame of fire. In some spiritual traditions, it represents the solar plexus chakra and personal power. Number 2, hexahedron or cube, 6 square faces. It is a common shape in nature and human-made structures due to its stability. Plato linked the cube to the element of earth, suggesting stability, grounding, and a solid foundation. In sacred geometry, it's seen as the physical realm and material world. Number 3, octahedron, 8 triangular faces. The octahedron is dual to the cube, meaning if you connect the centers of adjacent faces of a cube, you get an octahedron and vice versa. Representing
how has geometry proved? That's a good question. That might be worth discussing tomorrow. I really like that question, Courtney.
Intellect and integration. Number 4, dodecahedron, 12 pentagonal faces. This solid has a rich history in mathematics and was a subject of intrigue for many ancient scholars because of its complexity and how rare it is in the natural world. Plato associated the dodecahedron with the cosmos or the universe itself. In later traditions, the dodecahedron was associated with the fifth element, spirit or ether. It's seen as a representation of the divine, often linked to the heavens, and in some traditions, it's related to the third eye chakra, suggesting intuition and spiritual awakening. Number 5. Icosahedron, 20 triangular faces. Dual to the dodecahedron, the icosahedron represents equilibrium and balance in geometric terms. Corresponding to the element of water, it symbolizes flow, emotions, and the deeper layers of the subconscious. In spirituality, it's linked to the sacral chakra, denoting creativity and procreation. One sacred geometry shape that has a strong association with the 5 Platonic solids is the Metatron's cube. We've done an entire video about Metatron's cube, so check that video out if you'd like to learn more about it. When you look closely at Metatron's cube, you can trace the 2D
I'm gonna leave this part for 1 second. I mean, I think geometry has improved my life. First,
I love Monday.com.
First, just knowledge in general, I think, and growing in knowledge in almost any subject is going to improve your life. You know, the more you know, there's this idea in Freemasonry in our ritual. We talk about the more knowledge you have, the better you are able to engage and be a more useful member of society. And I truly believe that. I think you don't have to have a practical application for something to be of benefit, just for knowledge to be of benefit. The knowledge itself creates a more useful member of society because you're better able to grasp and understand different concepts and think in abstract terms. And if you can visualize and understand geometric principles in your mind, you're going to be able to visualize and understand someone's argument in your mind as well, and be better able to relate with them and what they are, you're going to be able to approach problems in a more abstract way and thereby engage with things on a conceptual level and not just on the words themselves. So, I'm trying to think how to explain this. If somebody comes up to me and has a proposition or has a problem that I need to solve, if I have an understanding of geometry and I have the skills and ability to conceptualize geometric principles and problems in my mind and try to find solutions to them, then I can do that in theory with any problem that comes forward. And at least it gives me another way to think and a different way to think that I can apply outside of geometry. It's kind of like, oh my God, I'm trying to think of the quote. Dangerous Minds. I don't know if anybody saw that movie, but I really like it. There's this great part where the teacher, Michelle Pfeiffer, is talking, right? And the teacher says, you need to, I'm going to teach you poetry so you can learn how to think. And one of the students says, I already know how to think. And the teacher says, you also already know how to run, but if you train, you can run faster. And in the same way, I do think it's the same thing when it comes to Freemasonry or knowledge of geometry. It could be poetry. It could be any of the liberal arts and sciences. Learning these things is another way to help you learn how to think, and then that ability to think better can be applied in any number of areas of aspects of your life. I mean, if you go to the gym every day and run on the treadmill, you may never have to run in your day-to-day life, but the process of practicing running on the treadmill will make you healthier and then will give you overall a better life. I think the brain is the same way. The brain is a muscle, and you need to train it, and geometry and geometric principles provides an excellent training capacity, or an excellent way in which we can train. So yeah, I think all of this stuff So that is what I would say a knowledge of geometry has helped me. By the way, welcome. I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and what it is that you want to talk about. We're talking about the Platonic solids. The Platonic solids, just to once again go over the list of them. There are 5 shapes that are Platonic solids. The first is the tetrahedron, which has 4 faces, 4 triangular faces. The cube, which has 6 faces. The octahedron, which has 8 faces. The dodecahedron, which has 12 faces. And the icosahedron, which has 20 faces. Named after the Greek philosopher Plato. They were all associated with different elements. The cube was connected to earth. The dodecahedron was connected to fire, the dodecahedron was connected to the universe or the ether or the cosmos. You could put it as the tetrahedron was connected to fire. The octahedron was connected to wind. And the icosahedron was connected to water. As Bucharest Red said, because it has the most sides, the most triangles, it flows the best, which it would. It would be the symbol, the shape, I should say, best able to roll. And what's interesting is this concept, this idea of the Platonic shape, which has the most sides and the most triangles being the smoothest, quote unquote, the smoothest or the most able to roll, is actually something that is still applied in design, 2025, 2,000 odd years later. It's applied in the design of, for example, video games by using more and more triangles. Video game designers are able to create smoother and smoother shapes, more realistic looking people, more realistic looking faces. If you look at earlier design of video games, people in those were maybe created with, a couple dozen triangles. Like, let me just actually look up the exact numbers. Triangles in video game design. Trying to think what the best way to search this is. So in a video game design, this is just the AA, the number of triangles in a 3D model like character greatly significantly impacts the performance and the visual fidelity, the way it looks. There's a chart I saw, and now it's going to drive me crazy. It's called the poly count. 2.15 million triangles are considered HP. So PS1 had less than 400 triangles per character. Final Fantasy X used about 3,000 for main characters, 5,700 for main characters. So basically, the newer the video game, the more triangles are being used to create the shapes. This basic concept, the idea of the more triangles you have equals a smoother shape and a more realistic or flowing shape, dates all the way back to Plato and to the Platonic solids. I mean, some I can solve in my head, but like a squared plus b squared plus c squared, depending on how big the numbers are, the variables, that's something that you can solve, in my head. But I think it's more not even the ability to solve, just the ability to visualize, to conceptualize. You can take that ability to conceptualize a geometric problem and then try to apply it to a moral problem and see what successes you have with that. Again, the Abraham Lincoln example being the perfect example of that. He used a geometric principle to conceptualize the moral question or moral answer. So, I think if that makes any sense. It can. Triangles pop up a lot. Triangles are a very important shape in Freemasonry, as well as just a very important shape in the world as a whole.
These solids appear in various ancient cultures, often ascribed with spiritual significance. Shapes that look like the solids have been found in Scotland dating back 5,000 years. The cube, for instance, can be found in sacred architecture, like the Holy of Holies in Solomon's Temple or the Kaaba
Solomon's
in
Temple.
Mecca. Fast forward to the Renaissance, a period of revived interest in classical knowledge, and the Platonic solids were once again at the forefront, prominent in science, art, and spirituality. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci produced meticulous drawings of these shapes, celebrating their
Thank you, Bucharest Red. By the way, Bucharest Red, I'm not sure if you have got the chance, but as I mentioned before, if you want to support the channel, one thing you can do is go to patreon.com/square and compass and sign up there. You can sign up for free, but it's a great way to support the channel. The more people have supporting on Patreon, the more it gets kind of spread around, even at the free membership level.
Geometric perfection and their deeper symbolic meanings. Johannes Kepler, the renowned 17th century German astronomer and mathematician, believed that the distances between the planets' orbits could be explained by placing the 5 Platonic solids inside one another in a specific order, suggesting a hidden geometric structure to the universe. In modern times, while our understanding of the physical world has expanded far beyond the classical elements, the allure of the Platonic solids remains. They are now seen as foundational shapes in the study of geometry and are vital in various scientific fields. In metaphysical and spiritual circles, these solids are believed to hold unique vibrational frequencies, making them popular tools for meditation and energy work. But why have these 5 solids, simple in structure yet infinite in interpretation, maintained such a lasting grip on our collective imagination? Perhaps it's their intrinsic perfection, reminding us of the harmony inherent in
Pies are round. That is absolutely correct.
Link to our past, a geometric thread that connects us to the ancients, their dreams, and their understanding of the cosmos. They stand as enduring symbols of the quest for knowledge, the pattern's underlying existence, and the interconnectedness of all things. Through them, we're reminded that the universe, in all its vast complexity, is bound together by simple, elegant truths. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe.
There you go. So that was, I'll leave that link in the chat as well. So that's the actual video I was watching on this topic. You can find it there. But I hope everybody is once again doing well. Please, if you're just joining us, I hope you'll hit the like button and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and what, if anything, you guys want to talk about. Tomorrow is kind of the Ask Us Anything, but we're at that phase where, or part of the channel where now it's just seeing who's going to join and what they want to talk about. So any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I would love to hear them. Thank you, Bucharest Red. I truly appreciate that. And I'll have to get back on your meeting as well. It's been a while, and I always really enjoy it. So maybe I will find the chance to... Maybe I'll find the chance to come on to the stream next week. It'd be a lot of fun, I think. So, yeah, because I always enjoy it. And by the way, if you want to mention it on the chat, go ahead to anybody who's watching this, who is a Mason Z. It could be a really great and excellent opportunity to meet some brothers from around the world. It is different than this. It is a tiled meeting. This is open to anybody, Mason or non. Bucharest Red, it's a tiled meeting that he organizes or facilitates, but it is absolutely a blast, and I've always loved being there. And nothing but respect for him for the work it takes to do that. Gareth, welcome. I feel like it's been a little while since I've seen you, so welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Um, it really depends on the individual. Right? It really depends on the individual. So, Gareth, there are some Masons like myself who are super open about being a Freemason. And I think that, want people to know that we are Freemasons, and I'm happy to talk about it. Others are more, others are less open, others will drop hints. Like it really just depends on the individual. So, um, it really is one of those things where it just depends um, on the person. I mean, my experience has always been, I believe, we should be open about our being a Freemason because if we are quiet about it, the conspiracy theorists will be loud about it, which I don't think is helpful for anybody. Um, and but you also have to respect the fact that some people are more private about not just their Masonic life, but just about anything in their life, right? Some people don't even want, won't even want to tell you where they work, or it just depends. People have different views on it. I personally am very open about it, and I've always been proud to be very open about it. One thing I do get annoyed with, though, and I kind of always tend to roll my eyes at, is when people are kind of doing the thing where it's like, they'll ask you, like, have you traveled to the East? Or how old is your grandmother? It's like just whenever people do that with me, I always just go, I'm a Freemason. Because I don't like those, I don't have time for those games of like call and response stuff. So I'm more than happy to just say it. What is what being a Mason that really drew you towards joining and staying? Oh, it's just if anybody ever says, "Have you traveled to the East?" There's different terms with that, but that's usually they're asking if you're a Freemason in that thing. I don't even know exactly where it comes from, or why precisely that term came up, but that term has come up in the past. Um, Grasshopper Plus. Well, I don't know what that means, Grasshopper Plus, but what I would hope is you will hit the like and subscribe button. I don't know if you are a Freemason or not, but if you have any questions about being a Freemason, jump in the chat, let me know what they are, and I will do my best to try to answer them. Or if you are a Freemason, but you have thoughts on being a Freemason, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. I'm just trying to get my camera, oops, trying to get this camera sorted out because I'm kind of running out of battery, so I gotta get this thing plugged in. Well, nonetheless, Grasshopper, I hope you will hit that like and subscribe button. And let me know also what your favorite Platonic solid is. There are 4 options here because I couldn't put all 5. Cube is at 60%. Tetrahedron is at 13%. Octahedron is at 7%. Dodecahedron is at 20%. So Grasshopper, I assume you're saying you won't because it sounds like you might not be a fan of Freemasonry. If you could maybe let me know what it is about Freemasonry that makes you not a fan, I will do my best to try to answer your questions or your comments. I've been a Freemason since 2007. I don't know everything about Freemasonry, certainly, but I like to think I have at least some knowledge based on my 20 plus years and attended over 2,000 some odd meetings. Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you for being here anyways. I do appreciate it. Maybe you'll change your mind, who knows, and hit that subscribe button. We were talking about Platonic solids, so just outside of Freemasonry, are you interested in geometry at all? Have you ever heard of the Platonic solids? Do you have any thoughts on those or what they are? My camera's being kind of funny, so excuse me. Yeah, Dad, you should go to it. You should check it out. Did he leave the link on there? I don't remember if I even where I have the link off the top of my head. Let me see if I can track down the link quickly, and then Dad, maybe you should check it out. I mean, I love having you here, don't get me wrong, but that's a really fun thing to visit as well. Wow, 1920. What an awesome keepsake that is. What an awesome thing to find. Something from 1920. That's really, really cool. Um, and something that I'm sure you're very proud that you kept. I mean, somebody will ask you, if I recall correctly, somebody will ask you before they let you in for your Masonic credentials. Um, but I don't think, off the top of my head, I can't remember if I have the link on me or not. What I will do though afterwards is I will find it. Um, 'Cause I don't remember off the top of my head where to find the link. I know it's somewhere that I've got. But what I will do is if you, Dad, I've already got your contact info, obviously, but if you get in touch with me at that um, link, squareandcompass.ca/contact, just put down, you're contacting me for the link. Z, I will send you the link to the chat. I will track it down and find it. No, it's not on Google. Um, it's actually pretty fun. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think where the link is. I know I have it somewhere. Dun, dun, dun. If I find it, I will. Let me try through. Let me try through Outlook quickly. Well, it's no worries, Z. I understand. But it'll all be around. I'll see what I can track. By the way, Courtney, you were asking about people being suspended and what causes them to be suspended. I mean, the most obvious one is non-payment of dues. That is always near the top and the most common. Then there can be a Masonic offense, which could be any number of different things, but it would have to be serious enough that they would want to go through the headache oh, for God's sakes, I hate this cord, and the hassle of actually going through the process, because you can't just suspend somebody automatically for that. You have to there's a whole process that you have to go through um, before the suspension can take place. There's Masonic charges, and so I would say the normal thing is, again, non-payment of dues, the most common, but it is a place where you can, if you are committing some type of Masonic offense, whatever that might be, violating a bylaw of the lodge, which could be anything from, failing to to dress appropriately, to causing a ruckus, to committing some type of criminal act outside of the lodge, then that can be brought up on Masonic charges. So it really is one of those situations where it's going to depend on the lodge. You mentioned above, what are some of the things that both brought me into Freemasonry and then kept me? I've talked about this before. I like the way you ask that question because the reason somebody joins Freemasonry is going to be very different from the reason somebody stays. That's often the case. Bye, Dad. Thank you for being here. I'll get you that link as soon as I can find it. And so, what brought me into Freemasonry was the family connections. What kept me was the opportunity to fight for a better world. So, 16 votes on this poll question. We have got Cube is still very high in the lead at 62%. Dodecahedron, though, is making a comeback at 19%, but I think Cube is running off of it. All right, I'm going to have to end this stream a little bit earlier. I'm just going to see if I can get this camera a little bit better set up for 1 second. I will be organizing a very long stream on Monday because it is our holiday. That is going to include, probably be back on my laptop doing it. We'll have to think about what we can talk about for, maybe I'll do a full 12-hour stream. Who knows? Who knows? I'll see. We'll give it a couple more minutes. We'll just see if anybody else jumps on the chat to say hello. Otherwise, we'll be finishing off this stream. Tomorrow's stream will be back, and tomorrow's stream will be the Ask Us Anything stream, as well as talking about what I have coming up. As always, I hope that you will also check us out on Medium, on all the different social media sites that we've got. I just wrote a new article on Medium, a new story on Medium, 10 prompts to start your Masonic journal. Those 10 prompts, I'll just go through those quickly. Red, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to have you back. R, what are 3 things about Freemasonry that you love and would not ever want to change? What are some things that Freemasonry does not have and which you are grateful it does not have? If you had the chance to adjust 3 things about your Masonic Lodge in particular, what would they be? What are the reasons for your choices? What steps can you take to make those adjustments possible? For every challenge that Freemasonry is facing, many Freemasons are working hard to overcome those challenges. Find at least one positive effort, breakthrough, or solution to a Masonic challenge. Do this daily. If you feel stuck in your Masonic career, what is one small action you can take, no matter how insignificant, that could open up a path forward and make you feel less stuck? What is something you do that makes you feel bad about your Masonic experience? Is there an opposite action you can take to make you feel good? When was a time you felt completely refreshed within your Masonic experience? Which brethren were you with? Is there anything about that time that you can recreate today? Write down 5 cool Masonic experiences or accomplishments that bring you a sense of pride. What is it about those experiences or accomplishments that bring you a sense of pride? How can you work those experiences into your day-to-day Masonic life? What is something you struggle with Masonically that you no longer struggle with? Have you rewarded yourself for this success? If you haven't, what could you do to celebrate? Think of a time when a brother Mason impressed you in some way. Now flip it. What if you have impressed a brother Mason without realizing it? What is it about you that others would or should find impressive? So those are the 10 journal prompts that I would suggest Masons use as just a jumping off point to maybe look at starting a Masonic journal, which, by the way, a Masonic journal is an incredible tool. More Masons should have it and use it. It's a great tool to help you grow in your Masonic journey, to keep track of your Masonic meetings, as well as ideas and thoughts about Freemasonry. Makes a great keepsake where you can, if you're keeping it So I've been a Mason for 20 years. So I can look back at my journal 20 years ago and see the start of my Masonic career. I compare it to where I'm at now. Brand new to Masonry, what kinds of questions should I ask a new lodge? Honestly, start with the most basic of questions, but the most important ones. Where, when do you meet? Where do you meet? What is the dress code? What are the dues? Start with those basic questions, because really what you need to do at the start is just get a feel for the brothers. Get a feel for the men you'll be in lodge with. Or do you enjoy their company? Do you like their company? That type of thing. That's what is going to matter the most. By the way, welcome, Red Squid X Files again. It's wonderful to have you back. Well, I mean, you're not going to overstep your bounds if you're expressing enthusiasm. I mean, if you're calling them every 5 minutes, it's going to get a lot. But, expressing your excitement, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Or expressing your enthusiasm, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And thank you, everybody who has joined. I believe we will be calling this stream off, but we will be having another stream tomorrow. That's our Ask Us Anything stream as we get ready to move into the weekend. So thank you so much. I hope everybody has an excellent day. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Follow on all the social media channels, etc., etc. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Yeah, but, the obvious one about what will you be doing, honestly, that, a big part of Freemasonry is you just got to jump in, right? There's only so much they can tell you about what the ritual is like. You kind of got to experience it for yourself, which is a really special thing, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I would say start with the basics and just get to know the guys. Ask them about their lives outside of Freemasonry, Courtney, like what type of stuff do you enjoy? What are your interests? Get to know them as people, not just as Masons. That is only going to improve and encourage your Masonic experience. You are welcome, Courtney. Thank you as always, and I'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. I may try another stream again later on tonight just for fun, just try some different stream times to see how it goes. All right, thank you guys so much.